All right, let's dive into something big today, something that's shaking up international crime fighting. And a heads up to our UPSC folks out there. Especially if international relations is your thing, pay close attention. We're talking about Bharatpol. And trust me, even if exams aren't on your radar, this is something everyone should know about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The way countries tackle crime, especially those tricky cross-border ones, it's changing fast, and Bharatpol is a prime example.
So imagine this, right? A cyber heist, super sophisticated. Starts in India but goes global in a flash. Stolen data, financial chaos, the whole works. Now, picture trying to get everyone on the same page internationally. Different countries, different laws, different languages. It used to be a nightmare.
You're spot on. Before Bharatpol, India's main connection to the world was the CBI working through Interpol. But coordinating across India with all its different police forces, using old methods, letters, faxes, you name it, it was slow, really slow. And in a world where criminals are using tech to move at lightning speed, that delay, well, it could mean the difference between catching them and letting them slip away.
Exactly. And that's where Bharatpol comes in, right? It's India saying, we need speed, we need efficiency. It's like trading in a carrier pigeon for a supersonic jet.
Perfect analogy. And it's more than just speed. Bharatpol connects everyone, from your local police station to the CBI, directly to Interpol. Speaking of Interpol, I think it's worth a quick reminder of what it actually is.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of people hear Interpol and think, you know, global police force swooping in, making arrests like in the movies. But it's not quite like that, is it?
Not really, no. It's less about direct action, more about making sure everyone's talking, sharing information, coordinating. Think of it as a massive hub for police in 195 countries.
So it's less James Bond and more like creating a network where everyone can work together seamlessly, sharing information, resources, all in real time.
Exactly. And that's where Bharatpol comes in. It basically turbocharges India's connection to that global network.
Okay, so let's break it down. How does this thing actually work? From what I've read, it's not just one system, it's a bunch of different modules,
Yeah,
each designed to handle a different piece of the puzzle.
right. One of the key ones is called Connect. It's basically a direct line from any Indian law enforcement agency straight to Interpol headquarters. Instant access to a global database of criminals, stolen stuff, you name it.
Like a global crime-fighting command center at your fingertips. But Connect is just one piece, right? There's broadcast, too, for communication going the other way.
Yes, broadcast is how Interpol gets crucial information out to police in India quickly. Let's say there's someone wanted for a serious crime in another country, and they're suspected to be hiding out in India. Interpol can send that info through broadcast, and boom, it hits officers on the ground instantly, potentially leading to an arrest.
So it's like a bridge, basically. Information and requests flowing back and forth between India and the global law enforcement community, and at lightning speed. What might have taken weeks or even months before now happens in hours, maybe even minutes.
Exactly, and that speed can be crucial, especially when you're dealing with crimes that cross borders. Human trafficking, drug smuggling, cybercrime, those need quick, coordinated action.
Now, Bharatpol doesn't just connect and broadcast information, though. There's also the references module, right? Sounds like an incredible resource for law enforcement.
Oh, it is. Imagine having a digital library filled with case studies from successful investigations all over the world, best practices for handling different kinds of international crime, even templates for making requests to Interpol.
So no need to start from scratch every time. They can learn from what's worked and what hasn't, all over the world.
Exactly. Continuous learning is key, especially with criminals getting more and more sophisticated.
This references module, it really is a game changer, isn't it? Like having a global team of experts on call. But we've got one more module to cover, right?
We do. There's resources, which is all about, well, resources.
Yeah.
Sharing information, training materials, case studies, the works.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Think about it. Police officers in India can now access training programs developed by Interpol experts anywhere in the world. They can study case files of similar crimes that have been successfully solved in other countries. It's a huge leap forward.
So they're not reinventing the wheel. They're tapping into this global pool of knowledge and experience.
Precisely, and it goes both ways. India has a lot to offer, too. They've got experience dealing with some incredibly complex crimes. Through Bharatpol, Indian officers can share their expertise with the world.
This is all starting to sound like a dream come true for law enforcement.
Yeah.
But I can already hear our UPSC folks asking, so how does this help me with my exams?
It's incredibly relevant. Bharatpol is a perfect example of how international relations are changing. It shows India taking a more active role in global security, showing their commitment to tackling these transnational crime.
So it's not just about the theory of international cooperation anymore, right? It's about being able to analyze real-world examples like Bharatpol.
Exactly. It shows you can apply that knowledge to what's happening right now in the world.
And for those of you not taking exams, understanding what Bharatpol represents is still really important because global crime doesn't just affect governments. It affects businesses, individuals, communities, all of us.
That's right. It's about creating a safer world for everyone.
We've covered a lot, but we're just getting started. When we come back, we'll dig deeper into the impact Bharatpol is already having and look at some of the challenges and opportunities it brings for India on the global stage. So stick around and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 of our Bharatpol deep dive.
Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we were talking about Bharatpol and how it's changing the game for India in fighting crime that crosses borders.
Exactly. We talked about those 3 core modules: connect, broadcast, and references. It's amazing how they give power to Indian law enforcement at every level, connecting them to a global network and a ton of knowledge.
And let's not forget that 4th module, resources. It's all about making sure Indian law enforcement has the right tools and knowledge to deal with these complicated crimes.
You know, when we talk about resources, it's easy to focus on the tech side of things, right? Databases, sharing documents, and all that. But what really gets me excited is the people involved.
I see what you mean. It's about a global exchange of expertise, right? Picture a police officer somewhere in rural India. Suddenly, they have access to training developed by Interpol experts, or they can study case files from cybercrime investigations in Europe. It's a total game changer.
Absolutely. It's like a global mentorship program for law enforcement. And it goes both ways. India has a lot to offer, too. They have a ton of experience dealing with all kinds of crime. Through Bharatpol, they can share that expertise with the rest of the world.
This kind of sharing across borders is so important, especially when you think about how fast criminal tactics are changing. Take cybercrime, for example. The methods they use are constantly evolving. Bharatpol helps officers stay up to date on the latest trends, vulnerabilities, countermeasures, no matter where in the world they come from.
It's amazing to think about the impact this could have. As Indian law enforcement gets better at tackling these crimes, it makes India safer, but it also helps stabilize the world.
Exactly, and this is where things get really interesting for our UPSC folks out there. Bharatpol isn't just a tool for law enforcement. It's a prime example of India's changing role on the world stage.
Okay, explain that a little more. What does Bharatpol tell us about India's international strategy?
Well, for a long time, India has been seen as reactive when it comes to global security, waiting for something to happen and then responding. But with Bharatpol, they're taking a proactive approach. It's like they're saying, we're not going to wait for crime to happen. We're going to work with the international community to stop it before it starts.
Yeah.
And bring those criminals to justice.
So it's a shift from reacting to leading. That's a big deal.
It is, and the world is noticing. More and more countries are interested in collaborating with India on these kinds of initiatives, sharing best practices, even adopting similar tech solutions.
So Bharatpol is like a model for other countries.
In a way, yes. It shows how technology can break down barriers and bring countries together. It's making the world a safer place. But it's not just about the technology, it's about the vision and the commitment behind it.
And that vision seems to be resonating. It's like India saying, we're not just a rising power. We're a responsible power, ready to take the lead in tackling these global challenges.
Exactly. It's about understanding that in today's world, security is everyone's responsibility.
Now, we've talked about the good stuff, but let's be real, no innovation is perfect, right? What are some of the challenges Bharatpol might face as it grows?
That's an important question. One of the biggest challenges is making sure this technology is used responsibly and ethically, With access to so much information, there's always a risk of someone misusing it or violating privacy. We need strong safeguards and oversight to prevent that.
And that makes sense. It's like having a powerful tool.
Yeah.
You have to make sure it's in the right hands.
Exactly. Another challenge is figuring out how to work within the different legal systems of different countries. International cooperation means sharing sensitive information, and we have to do it legally, respecting each nation's laws and sovereignty.
The balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
We need to ensure security without compromising individual rights or causing diplomatic problems.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's the constant challenge of staying ahead of the criminals. They're always looking for new ways to use technology to their advantage. Bharatpol has to be adaptable, always evolving to meet those threats.
It's a never-ending game of cat and mouse. with technology as the playing field.
Exactly. But despite those challenges, I'm optimistic about Bharatpol's future. It shows what we can accomplish when we put our minds together, and how much we all want a safer world.
Well said. It reminds us that even in a world that feels divided, we all share the same goal of justice and security. And initiatives like Bharatpol give us a glimpse of what's possible when countries come together and use technology for good. But we're not done yet. When we come back, we'll explore what a Bharatpol could mean for the future of international police cooperation and what new doors it might open. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everyone. We've been deep diving into Bharatpol, India's game-changing platform for fighting crime that goes beyond borders. We've seen how it links up Indian law enforcement with Interpol, gives them access to a global treasure trove of knowledge, and makes international cooperation smoother than ever. But now let's zoom out a bit and think about the bigger picture.
You know, what's really interesting about Bharatpol is it's not just about catching bad guys, it's about shifting our whole approach to global security. It's about working together proactively to prevent crime before it even happens.
I'm really intrigued by the idea of Bharatpol as a model for other countries. Could we see similar platforms popping up in different regions, creating a truly interconnected global law enforcement web?
I think it's definitely possible. We're already seeing other nations taking a close look at what India's doing with Bharatpol, and they're interested. If this platform continues to be successful, it could inspire a whole wave of similar solutions around the world, leading to a much more coordinated and effective global response to these transnational crimes.
That would be incredible. Imagine a world where information about criminals and their activities flows freely between countries.
Yeah.
No matter what their political differences are or how far apart they are geographically, it would be a huge advantage in the fight against crime.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just sharing information, too. It's about sharing expertise, best practices, and resources. Imagine a global pool of knowledge and skills available to law enforcement agencies everywhere. It could completely change the way we train officers, investigate crimes, and prevent future threats.
But let's be real, building a global network like that is going to be tough. There are going to be hurdles along the way, especially when it comes to navigating different legal systems, concerns about data privacy, and potential political sensitivities.
You're right. We'll have to work hard to harmonize legal frameworks and ensure data security. That's going to require a lot of trust and cooperation between nations. It's not something that will happen overnight.
So while the idea of a global Bharatpol-like network is super exciting, the road to getting there is going to be complex, and we need to carefully consider the ethical and legal implications every step of the way.
Absolutely. But the potential benefits are so huge that it's worth tackling these challenges head on. If we can find effective solutions, we could be on the verge of a whole new era in global security cooperation.
And for our UPSC listeners, this is the kind of big picture thinking you need to be doing. Understanding the complexities of international relations, anticipating potential challenges, and coming up with solutions, those are the skills that will make you stand out.
Well said. Bharatpol is a great example of innovation, but it also highlights the challenges and opportunities that come with technological progress and an increasingly interconnected world.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Bharatpol, I want to leave you with this question. What role do you think technology will play in shaping the future of global security? And what can we do to make sure these powerful tools are used responsibly and ethically to create a safer world for everyone?
These are questions worth thinking about.
They are. And as technology keeps advancing, it's conversations like this one that will help us navigate the complex world of global security and make sure we use its power for good.
And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this episode with your friends. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds engaged.